Mario by SMW Central user Adam. So it all happened on tonight of all nights. I was bored, obviously, contemplating what I thought I could do to waste time as I chatted with the people in hashtag SMWC. When we had good times and shared a few laughs together. Out of boredom, I decided to patrol the hacks waiting to be moderated section. Seems that we had quite a bit, 33 if I recall correctly. The first few hacks I saw when I sorted them by date were a couple really horrible ones with bad screenshots to boot. Naturally, showed these hacks to the Centralites currently on hashtag SMWC. We were laughing at how bad some of them were, but then I got to a hack called Mario. Just that, nothing more, nothing less. The description seemed quite odd, as if some Japanese hacker was trying to translate the original plot of Super Mario World into English and failing horribly. I showed this to Kieran, and he started laughing at the description. It read as follows. As you play the role of Super Mario Plumber, verify that you are beautiful parenthesis Utozudo Uru. Again, Bowser kidnaps the evil king. It is your job to save her. This hack includes 6 levels of very long. I simply dismiss this as someone trying to act Japanese and release a crappy hack with some edits or so. That's what I thought this was at first. Curiosity got the best of me. I decided to download the hack, not knowing what I was in for, since the single screenshot of the hack was the title screen, with nothing but the letters Mario for Super Mario World's title screen. I thought it was a little odd how there were no dates or anything either, as hackers usually place their names and dates on the titles to mark when the project was started. So when I opened the hack, I was greeted to 2 files. One called 3007014, a simple text file, 27 KB in size, and the IPS file, simply named Mario. For some odd reason, I wanted to see what the author of the hack had to say, but when I opened the hack in Notepad, there was nothing but indistinguishable symbols and letters and punctuation, sort of like how when you open a ROM in a text editor like Notepad. Seems like the author just completely copied his ROM to text form, though I could be wrong. Taking a closer look at the top of the text file, mixed up with the gibberish, I found the only thing that looked like English there. Here's a piece of what I found. YOYA JFIFHH YB 1 find me. YUC. To be honest, I didn't know what to make of this, and I thought it was too simply waste To be honest, I didn't know what to make of this, and I thought it was simply to waste some of my time by making me find some text in a gibberish file. That I'm willing to bet no one will ever be able to make sense of. I decided that because my interest was growing steadily, I would start looking through my horrible, disorganized download folder for a copy of a clean ROM, which I had downloaded a great deal of time before the events of tonight unfolded, and an IPS patcher. Of course, my choice for the job was Lunar IPS. So I then proceeded to move the ROM and the IPS patcher to the folder with the hack. I patched the ROM, not knowing what to expect next, and I quickly hurried to drag it to the NES and play what I thought was to be terrible in the form of a ROM image. I noticed on boot up that the author had taken the time to change the header of his hack. Instead of the usual Super Mario World you normally see when booting up a ROM and ZSNES, it just had the letters Mario there again. At this point, I gained a little hope, because normally people who do horrible half-assed edits to the ROM generally don't know enough to change a header title. I thought I wasn't wasting my time with this, and my mood brightened slightly at the thought of seeing what the author had to offer in his interesting little hack. So the title screen loaded exactly like it would with Super Mario World, except it had just Mario on the title, like I had mentioned earlier. Something else had grabbed my interest more so than the unusual absence of Layer 3 titles on the title screen. Mario's normal, bright-colored, and happy palette seemed, how can I put it, dull. What was once violet-like red, was now what seemed like gray with a slight red tint to it. And I'm fairly sure his pants were looking more gray than blue too. I thought this was strange, and I wondered why he had decided to give Mario such a dull palette. Regardless as to what his intentions were, I felt that something was wrong. Not in the sense that the palette was slightly bad, but that the hack was empty, like something had happened. Upon pressing start and selecting a new file, like a lot of other countless Mario hacks I've played in the past, there was some sort of intro screen that basically described the entirety of the plot in a short paragraph just small enough to fit into a small black box. I began reading, and for the most part, the message stayed the same, but there was one key factor that made this interesting. Apparently, the main antagonist of this hack wasn't Bowser at all. It was Mario. The message read as follows. What the? This wasn't the original message from Super Mario World, I thought to myself. Normally I wouldn't think anything of this, seeing as how over my nearly 2 years at CMW Central, I've played countless hacks and have seen many different intro messages, but this one really stuck out. At this point, I definitely knew there was something odd about this hack. Upon letting the intro intro level music play. I press the start button on my controller to finally get to the overworld and begin my journey into this unknown hack. Upon entering the overworld, everything seemed normal. Same old level paths, same old music, but the level names were different. Instead of Yoshi's house, like it always has been every time I ever played Super Mario World, it was now simply just Yoshi's. The house part was gone. I thought that this was strange, and I began to lose hope in the hack, because it had seemed like barely anything had changed at all from the original. I was hoping to see something new. Well, unluckily for me, I got my wish, as you'll see when you read on. I decided to enter the level out of curiosity. When I entered, the whole house was normally there was gone. No more smoke, no more fire, no more little birdies, no more treehouse. All that was left was the message box. I decided to hit it. Upon opening, the message I expected to be there was replaced with what seemed like binary. Apparently it says notepad. At this point, I was on IRC telling everyone about how the hack was starting to weird me out, which it in itself yielded some sarcastic responses, but hey, I expected it. Anyways, after this, my interest level in the hacks skyrocketed, and along with it, my paranoia. Oh boy, was I in for a fun surprise. So I decided to head left. Upon reaching what was before known as Yoshi's Island 1, the level was now labeled Never Come Back. Now I thought things were going to be all kinds of death trap. Because generally that is what people name their levels in case of hacks to make sure the player doesn't go there. To my surprise, it wasn't quite that way though. I wish it had been. Upon entering level 105, I was greeted by the insanely loud clown car sound that Bowser's flying vehicle makes right before Peach falls out. Of course, with my headphones being moderately high, the sound scared the living crap out of me, which wouldn't have happened if I hadn't been so nervous beforehand. I decided at this time it would be best if I turned the volume on my headphones down, as to not get any more unpleasant surprises such as that one. When I entered the level, other than the music, everything seemed to be the same, except for the fact that the little Koopa that slides on the ledges wasn't there anymore, nor was the bonsai bill. The dragon coin was still there, however, for some odd reason, I was unable to collect it, or rather, any dragon coins at all. The author made certain of that. I also noticed that there was a brown used block near the spot where the bonsai bill normally shows up. I can only assume this was a revisit to the level after I had beaten it, like I heard in some half-crap creepy stories in other Mario games. I know I was wondering why things were like this, making me wonder about the intro message. Had Mario done something previously to Dinosaur Island? Was this in Bowser's point of view? I quickly dismissed the latter option. because it seemed kind of stupid. So that left me thinking that Mario at one point in time in the author's story did something, but what? What did Mario do? My mind was nothing but rushing thoughts at this point. However, I quickly dismissed them and ventured further into the level, only to find that all blocks had basically been hit. Coins had been collected, save dragon coins. Those were still there and unobtainable. That there were no enemies, and that I could no longer go down pipes. What kind of bullcrap am I playing here? I kept thinking to myself. At this point, I felt uncomfortable. I decided to keep venturing. Eventually, I came across a message box, which I wasn't surprised was still in the level. Being the idiot that I am, I went and hit the box. Upon hitting it, I was greeted with the familiar black box once again. The message was edited though, obviously. As I had figured that this was a given at this point, it reads as follows. Now I thought things were starting to get the vibe that the author was a twisted and warped individual, and that I was right about Mario having done something. At this point, I was basically rushing to get to the end of the level, so I just scurried by, and then I came across another message box. However, this one was just a blank box with point of advice at the top with nothing else in it. I quickly disregarded it and headed off further to the right, hoping to free myself of the that was once level 105. Upon reaching the end, I saw a fire flower in the top block, where the four-way block intersection used to be. However, it was too high for me to reach by normal means, so I just continued onward, like the blind, curious idiot I am would do. So I finally beat the level, and as usual, the path to the Yellow Switch Palace was unlocked. I decided to head up the path that normally leads to the Yellow Switch Palace, and I found that when I entered the main overworld, every other landmass and decoration besides the ghosts from the ghost houses in Yoshi's Island itself were gone. Nothing really changed at the Yellow Switch Palace except for the Switch message. All that changed was that Switch Palace was changed to Mario World. Boring. Always just when I thought I was done with this abomination that calls itself a hack, I found that Yoshi's Island 2 has also been edited. Oh joy, I thought to myself. Sarcasm. Upon reaching Yoshi's Island 2, I found that it had been renamed to Yoshi's House, the original name of level 104. I decided to enter and found that the palette of the level had been changed along with the background. They seemed to have been changed to the same palette as Yoshi's Island 3. You know, greenish tan and such, except the background was pushed down some and was now a rotting brown color, and that the vegetation on the FG was now no longer present. I decided to explore the level a bit and came across the trail of Koopas that countless players have used a shell to rack free one-ups with. I decided to ignore them and go see if any more of the level had changed. I eventually came across the question mark that holds Yoshi, the block that holds Yoshi, and decided to free him. Upon freeing him, I got this message. This had me wondering what kind of sick and twisted hack I was playing. I had thoughts of all possible scenarios of Mario attacking Dinosaur Island horribly and causing irreversible damage. The author had me hooked with his sick little game, and like any other idiot, I took the bait and kept coming back for more. Somewhere not far off from the Yoshi question block, I found a message box in the same place I remember that it always had been, though. If I've learned anything at all from playing this, it's that whatever had to be in that message box message was not going to be even remotely normal in the slightest. This made me hesitant to hit it, but I ended up doing so anyway. I wanted to find out more. The message I was greeted with was as follows. What the heck? I thought to myself. What the heck did this even mean? Change my mind. What would I change my mind about anyway? Was this about Mario and whatever he did? And about how people were trying to convince him to stop? Was Yoshi talking to me through the message boxes? Or was it about me? About me playing the hack, asking me, as if the hack was trying to talk to me through message boxes. Either way, whether it was for more backstory on what Mario had done, or if it was questioning my decision to keep going, I decided to keep progressing, despite the obvious signs that I should have quit playing the hack a while ago. As I progressed further, I found that I was right. All vegetation was now gone, and nothing was left at all, save a few enemies, like chucks and moles and such. Even the pipes were gone. I came across another message box. Like all other times, I decided to hit it. I was greeted with yet another cryptic message. The selfish way out? What the heck? Was he calling me selfish or continuing to play the hack despite the warnings? Had Mario made some kind of selfish decision that only benefited him? Was Yoshi still trying to talk to me? What the heck was this guy trying to tell me? At this point, I was creeped out to the point that I was shaking slightly. A mix of anticipation, fear, and the fact that my room was terribly cold last night. I closed the message box and once again proceeded further. The area with the moles seemed the same except for the fact that the block next to the vine block was gone, along with the happy clouds and dragon coin the vine allowed access to. This made me feel gloomy, and say the least, not so much frightened as I was depressed. It's a feeling I couldn't really explain well. From this point on, it was basically just a big empty stretch of land to the end of the level. I proceeded quickly. I wanted to get the heck out of there, as I felt that I had spent enough time looking around. So me and Yoshi, I still had him at the time, opened up the next path on the overworld. It too was changed. What was once Yoshi's Island 3 now read Yoshi's Island 7. Memories of Super Bobbado world flooded my mind. How the Levels would take giant leaps in number order, which made it seem ridiculous, though at this time I didn't quite find it as humorous, due to common sense and obvious reasons explained earlier. I entered the level. As I entered, I was welcomed by a solid black background and a blue and gray colored floor. The place seemed frozen, lifeless, and barren. There was nothing in the level at all, save the goal point. Just a clear stretch of land with nothing else at all. I quickly lost interest and finished the level. This was what seemed like the most empty and creepy level in the game. Though, as you'll read on, it gets far worse. With the level beaten, a new path opened up. Yoshi's Island 4 was now just leave now. Now I hesitated as to whether I would stop playing, but my interest kept me going further. At this point, SMWC was nothing but me posting findings and messages from the hack so others could experience what I was experiencing. The channel sadly was unusually inactive. Seemed like no one really cared or wasn't around. I felt alone. I proceeded into the level. For the most part, everything seemed the same, for the fact that there was no water at all to keep me from falling in pits without using Yoshi as a sacrifice. The level was so void of all enemies as well. Whenever I got to an area that seemed too far for me to jump, I found that I could just walk right across on the air, thus getting rid of the need to use Yoshi as a sacrifice. It's apparent that the hack wanted me to keep him. I couldn't tell that much. I was able to get to the pipe that usually leads to the exit level. I went in and found that the room was exactly the same, everything in the right place and nothing edited, or so I thought. The message box once again broke the mood of that brief moment of relief I had gained upon entering the pipe. At this point, I was questioning whether I should keep going to see how it ends or quit now while I still have a bit of common sense left. The message box was sort of indistinguishable, and I couldn't really make sense of it. For a moment, I tried to figure out what the box meant, but eventually I gave up and beat the level. I figured that box wasn't worth the time. Anyway, with the level beaten, the path to the first world castle open, now renamed from number 1 Iggy's Castle to number 1 Go Back. I sure did feel welcome here. Sarcasm. I decided to completely ignore the level name. I wanted to get this over with and to be done with it forever. What seemed like a normal castle intro was made especially creepy, given the fact that I had to dismount Yoshi. I felt for the first time that I was actually abandoning him, and I wish I had taken him with me. The inside room of the castle looked strange. There was this darkish, bluish, greenish, black lava on the ceiling, and there were gold points that looked like pillars. Aside from that, next to each pillar, there was an increasing amount of message boxes next to each pillar. the further I go. The room was basically just a big hallway with no enemies or anything of the sort. Every message box I pressed either gave me a blank box with Yoshi's signature at the bottom, or the message that reads as follows. Another cryptic message, though at this point I wasn't surprised. Not in the slightest. Again, the thoughts in my head started circling, wondering what exactly Mario had done, why he was here, and why everything seemed to hate everything about him and wanted him gone forever. I was feeling more depressed than scared at this point, to be honest, and had no idea what to expect next. I proceeded down the long hallway, checking message boxes filled with nothing but the same two messages over and over. It's like they were telling me to stop playing or something. Obviously, I ignored them and kept going. I eventually reached the end of the hallway. There was a door which I entered. I was welcomed by nothing but a small section of the land, and at that, the level was auto-scrolling, so I figured that this must be the end, that the author wanted me to jump in the pit and commit suicide or something, thus ending the journey. I was wrong. The auto-scroll pushed me over the ledge, and I was still walking, unfortunately. The whole level was nothing but a long stretch of invisible land to another small piece of land, just big enough for the boss door to fit. The auto-scroll came to a stop, and I prepared for the worst. I gathered my composure, swallowed some of the spit in my mouth, and took a deep breath. I entered. Nothing but a normal Iggy boss. I felt cheated in a way, though. I was happy to think it was finally over. I defeated Iggy with 2 jumps effortlessly, which was actually the quickest I'd ever beaten him before. After he fell in the lava, the course clear message popped up as usual. It ended, and I was brought to the rescue egg scene, though instead of the usual message, I was shown something disturbing and vastly different, like a profile of a scene of a crime. It was as follows. "What the heck is wrong with this guy?" I said as I read the disturbing message. I mean, it was a hack, but still. Who the heck was the victim? Why were her eyeballs gouged out? And just what could have made those unidentifiable fingerprints that were found on her body? Was this Mario's doing? Is this what the author was trying to tell me? And furthermore, was the girl Princess Toadstool? It took me a while to see if I read the message correctly. Then I proceeded outwards, though I was wondering what happened next, since the main map was completely gone and there was no trace of it anywhere. To my surprise, it still showed the path marked for Donut Plains, the event tiles still being there, marking the path to the tone level on the giant map that was once the main world. It was still called Donut Plains 1. I thought we were finally done once more, but when I entered the level, I could see that, like the previous times, I was once again wrong. Upon entering, I saw 2 message boxes. They said something. I found it quite strange that both message boxes were contradicting each other. One was telling me that there was no way out of this accursed, and the other was telling me that if I could fly anyway, I could be free, though I saw no feather or enemies to grab one with. Was this telling me that I could either rise up and go to heaven or stay in hell forever? Wallowing in despair, did I need a cape to proceed? And what happens after this? Is the whole game like this? I began to create more thoughts in my head, trying to figure the message boxes out, but to no avail. I proceeded to walk to the right. I made a jump, but I found that I was stuck in the area. There was an invisible wall, and I had thought I hit a dead end. When I landed, I tried moving right again to see if there was any way to go on. All of a sudden, I heard the pipe sound, and I was making the pipe animation, except there was no pipe present, so it looked quite odd. I was then taken to a level with a black background, stone blocks for ground, and a small door. I was immediately given a mushroom to prevent me from entering it, so I proceeded further to see if there is anything else in the level. I found that the room was nothing but a long stretch of concrete blocks and doors that were too small for me to enter because of the mushroom I got. It's obviously that the author didn't want me going through any of them, or wouldn't have gotten the mushroom in the first place. As I proceeded, I found myself at a dead end. Since there was nothing left for me to look at, I tried to go right again. It worked. I went through the brick wall. It acted like a pipe, and I did a pipe animation that looked like I was going into the darkness. I was then taken to a small room with what seemed like a pit and a wall. I jumped down the pit, seeing as how there was no other option, though I found that the bottom of the pit was solid. I tried pressing down in a bunch of areas until I came across a pipe. Mario slowly did the pipe transition downwards of the screen. Expecting another level, I waited, but there was no more. Just a black screen. I was unable to continue, unable to pause or exit the level or move. There was nothing at all. It was the video game representation of death. A crash. Mario had died. After playing, I think I finally understood what was happening. I believe Mario was answering for his actions, even eventually being plummeted into a that looked exactly like Yoshi's Island, where he was lost to the grip of death forever. I was finally done playing and quite relieved at that. The nightmare was over. Activity on the IRC seemed to be back up again. I quickly shared my tales with the rest of the SMWC and typed this documentation of it. If you feel daring enough, you can witness my tale firsthand. Remember, guys, it's only a hack. It can't hurt you, or can it? The aftermath. This hack, being the first of its kind to hit SMW Central, of the course, gained a lot of attention. Even the site's founder and administrator, currently Kieran Minner, who then immediately recognized the text file that Adam mistook for the SMC ROM image converted into text as a JPEG file. Due to its header, he tried manually converting it back into JPEG, but the results was barely viewable. The only recognizable part was the very top. He then continued searching Google for images with his attempt's resolution, and the second result struck him as relevant. You can find Kieran's post here. His original attempt only displays a broken image now. The hack's novelty on SMW Central wore off, however, and it was removed from the hack database after being accepted for being the first of its kind. A creepypasta hack may be linked to. Okay, guys, that was Mario. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys would like me to read next time. Okay, I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye.